Warning: motorsport is a dangerous activity. The events you're about to see were filmed in a controlled environment under the supervision of professionals. Do not attempt to recreate or reenact anything you see on this show.
Welcome back to Off-Road Addiction. This episode, we're featuring the Woodhill 100 race in Auckland, New Zealand. And as you can see behind me, we've got the new project here. So we're doing a product install from Rough Stuff Specialties. I've got Hilux axles to go under it. We've got a 3-link kit to go in the front, a 4-link kit to go in the rear. And I'm very excited to get this done. So you guys get stuck into the footage, we'll get stuck into this. Set in the vast Woodhill forest north of Auckland is the oldest off-road race in New Zealand and the toughest one-day endurance race of its kind. Over 100 kilometres of speed sections, tight turns, sand, mud and gravel. This is the Woodhill 100. There are 2 days of action with qualifying sprints on the first day, including a separate enduro for the Kiwi trucks, followed by the main race on the second day. The iconic off-road race attracted entries from far and wide, with racers even coming all the way up from Christchurch to compete. The UTV classes are starting to have a real impact on the sport, with more than 20 races entered, almost a third of the field. Leading entries included Joel Giddy, Carl Ruderman, Ben Thomason and Dyson Delahunty. The UTVs are smaller and more agile than the big race trucks, but they don't quite have the same top end as the big race trucks. So they struggle a little bit, but where they hold their own is in the tight and twisty environments. They really make some ground. The boys are currently getting ready to pull the body off. So our plan of attack is we're going to pull the body off, tidy up, chop all the axles out and start preparing to put the Rough Stuff 3-link in the front and a Rough Stuff 4-link in the rear. I wedged my fat ass under this stupid Suzuki. It's so little, it's cute. I'm just undoing the brake lines at the moment so we can pull the body off without taking the brake lines with us. We've just found a bunch of rust under the body. No major, it's a Suzuki.
Just notice the body's not going to lift off with the guard. This stops the tyre flicking things up to the filler. Yep. Sweet. Nobody hooked.
Well, the front fell off, everything's unbolted. Time to rip the body off, and then we can start cutting things off and tidying things up. She's going to be stripped down to nothing. Love it. Yeah, body's off, life's easy now. Just using my fat ass to test out how awesome these leaf springs are before we chop them out. They're pretty cool, but the air shocks I'm putting in from S4 are going to be much better. Much better. So yeah, we better get stuck into it, I suppose, eh?
How you going? Mike Fraser here, NZ1. We're at the Woodhill 100 2017. Again, bottom end of the forestry, Muriwai. Great day for it after the weather we had leading up to this event. It's been a bit of a shocker. We've got 76 cars, 78 cars entered this year. Fantastic field. Really looking forward to it.
Saturday morning saw the start of the qualifying sprint. Racers set out on a short loop course
to determine their grid position on race day. The course is made up of sharp corners and speed sections that are indicative of some of the conditions that they can expect to see on the main racetrack, as well as being the start-finish line for the big race the following day.
Had a bit of a shocker yesterday myself for qualifying. Wasn't the best. We went into limp mode straight off, and car just wasn't performing its best. Took it home last night, found a few issues, and managed to sort those out, and just a few basic things with the time frame, obviously organising the event. I'm going into my excuse book now, but absolute shocker anyway. Yeah, so I'm proud to have Motor Muck on board again, which they've got the new product Wheel Muck, so new livery for the car this year. That'll be great. Looking forward to the event, so got a bit of work to do. Should be fun.
Okay, so now that we have sprayed down the chassis with some Motor Muck, given it a good pressure wash, she's clean as a whistle, we are going to effectively take it down to a bare chassis. We've got to take off all the spring hangers, remove the axles, so that we can start working out where our links are going to mount. Caleb's chosen to go a 3-link in the front and 4-link in the rear. So the rear will be parallel arms with a triangulated upper, and the front obviously a 3-link. So we'll have a panhard, 2 lower arms and a top 3-link arm to stop the diff from rotating. We'll get onto that, get it all hacked off so that we can start mocking up our mounts.
The qualifying sprints paused over lunchtime for the Kiwi Truck Enduro. This is where the young kids get to show their skills behind the wheel and have a blast off-road racing. The Kiwi trucks are split into 2 classes. J class is entry level for 8 to 12 year olds with trucks running a 9 horsepower engine and automatic transmission. Then there is M class, which is for 12 to 14 year olds with trucks running a 200cc motorbike engine and a 5-speed manual gearbox. Now, we personally love seeing the Kiwi trucks out there racing. There's nothing cooler than seeing the up-and-coming generation get behind the wheel and battle it out. And these kids do not hold back whatsoever. They have no fear, and they throw these little Kiwi trucks around like you wouldn't believe.
I'm Dyson Delahunty and I race for Polaris New Zealand in the XP1000 car. It's a factory-backed Polaris that they've given me for the year. I started in little Kiwi trucks and then I moved up to a Class 7 VW powered buggy and then stepped into a 1000cc Polaris. Qualified 35th, so it's not great for us to be fair, but the track suited the higher horsepower cars and we just don't have the top end.
With the Kiwi Truck Enduro done and dusted, it was time to get back into the qualifying sprints for the rest of the day. Racers were either pushing hard to get a good grid position or pacing themselves to make sure their vehicle had no issues on race day.
Morning guys, Ben Thomason here, Polaris driver in the S-Class RZR 1000 Turbo here at the 2017 Woodhill 100. Had qualifying yesterday and finished up in 18th place. A little bit further down than I would have liked, had a little technical issue that we didn't manage to find until afterwards, so we think we have it sorted, which is great. Yeah, start the race today and try and stay clean and tidy and pick some people off and see how we end up.
It was Jardine Lammers who came out on top for qualifying with a lap time of 3 minutes and 18 seconds. He will be at the very front of the grid next to Scott Buckley in P2, followed by Tony McCall and Steve Stokes in P3 and 4. Off-Road Addiction TV is proud to be representing some of the leading brands in the industry. Please make sure you support the guys that support us.
Well, this is all that's left of the truck. So we went out and bought a perfectly good truck. We pulled the body off it. We chopped the axles out of it.
And scattered it there, and I've robbed a few parts off it without Caleb knowing.
Yep, no, donation bin, thanks, no worries. So yeah, I've got a few parts I need to replace now. We've been talking, we had a few beers last night and we stood around looking at the chassis, as you do, you know, that's how all projects come to a screeching halt. You have a couple of beers, stand around and talk about ideas. Well, I'm going to be running my 35-inch Cymexes on beadlocks, so they're an 8-inch wide rim, -22 offset, so the 8-inch wide makes the tyre a little bit taller, not much, than if you were running, say, a 10-inch. We'll be chopping down the body quite a bit to allow for moving our rear axle back and our front axle forward.
Oh, rear goes back and forward goes forward.
I was thinking about putting the front and the back and the, you know.
Like a fork hoist.
That'd be pretty trick. Do some wicked doughies. Yeah. But anyways, we're going to get stuck into this because it's bright early and we've got a lot to get done.
So while we do that, check out some more Woodhill footage.
Hi, I'm John O'Climo from Nido Disturber 869 Racing. We are here at the Woodhill 100, hoping to have a good race. Fairly fast track, which is quite indicative of high horsepower cars that you see us in the top positions. So we're pretty happy actually, really happy. The truck's going really well. We're crossing our fingers, hoping that we don't have any issues today. Keep a clean race and have fun. If we have fun and we get to the end, we'll probably be in a good spot. So our race plan is basically just keep circulating, try and keep a reasonable pace without pushing it too hard.
It was a jam-packed start to the race, with racers smashing that skinny pedal to get ahead on the high-speed start-finish straight. The 90-degree corner that followed claimed its share of races right from the start. The race was full of action, with much of it being centred on the unlimited race cars. There was whoops, bumps, speed sections and plenty of tight tracks cutting through the trees. Racers had to know when to put their foot down, but also when to put the brakes on for those tight corners. Well, you guys were watching that last bit of footage. I made the call. Something I've been tossing up was to chop the cover off my rear housing and weld the rough stuff 9.5-inch Land Cruiser one on. Now obviously the Toyota is 8-inch, so I took a gamble. I chopped the cover off, I chopped the corners off the 9.5-inch Land Cruiser housing, and what do you know? Fits perfectly. I do have to apologise to Rough Stuff though. They have done some absolute artwork welding and I've come along and made it look like the birds have been circling. But once it's got some mud on it, nobody will notice the difference. After I finished doing the rear, I decided to put the front on. Now this is off the shelf Toyota diff armour. Nicely folded and cut, ready to rock and roll. All I had to do was scrape it back to paint, stick it on, and that now protects my diff from being damaged. So now, what I've got to do is stick the truss on the top. The truss goes across here for the rear, and that enables me to weld my mount on to take the links. Last year's winner and defending champion, Mike Fraser, was charging hard up the field from position 20, but crashed out spectacularly at the beginning of lap 3 after missing his braking marker at the end of the 130 km/h straight.
First lap managed to make our way up to 6th, I think, and second lap we're heading till 4th. Having a good time and it was going really well. And then I sort of overcooked a corner, ran out of talent, missed the braking marker, ended up coming into a corner extremely hot, pitch rolled it up and over the barriers, managed to land on all its wheels again, which was very fortunate.
The Toyota V8 spat off the power steering belt and had some gearbox issues with it jumping out of second gear, so Mike was unfortunately unable to carry on to defend his NZ1 title.
But no, it was a great track, it was spectacular again, nice and fast. We're hitting the top end speeds, car was handling exceptionally well until then, so got a new gearbox coming in 2 weeks, so hopefully that'll solve a few issues and we'll be into it again.
Right, so I've gone with the Rough Stuff rear mini truss. Now it's a 2-piece system, that goes on there like that. Now I've got to mark my centre of course, and then I've got to find the centre of this, line them up. Once I've got that, I can then put this one over the top. Once we've got the mini truss on, it's 2-piece, we'll weld it all up. We can then put our top link bracket on. So what we've got to do is create some separation between our upper links and our lower links. So the goal here is to try and get 7 to 8 inches, which should be ample enough to run 35-inch tyres. Right, so I've glued the inner piece in, nice and easy. So now I've marked the centre of my axle and it is ready to go on. Make sure our marks are lined up, and to get extra technical, get my level out and we'll stick that on there. That way I can tell that I'm gluing it on in the right spot. So basically what I've got to do now is tack this onto here, then I'm going to glue it all up. So I'm going to get to that. Right, so what I've done here is I've got our top link mount, which is going on top of our axle truss. And as you can see, I've got my heim joints in here. You want to be very careful not to leave these heims in when you're welding it up. So what I've done is I've put the plate down on top and I actually put some 1.2mm washers on the top to give us just that little bit of space to make it easier to get the heims in and out. When they're done up nice and tight, that plate should pull down a little bit. And I've just tacked it into place with 4 tacks. Now, what I'm going to do is take the heims out because they have a Teflon liner in them and that will melt under heat. So we've got to get that out, otherwise we'll ruin the brand new heims, and I really don't want to do that. Off-Road Addiction TV is proud to be representing some of the leading brands in the industry. Please make sure you support the guys that support us. John O'Clymo had started 6th in the best of the unlimited race trucks, but disaster struck before the end of the first lap where the main battery feed fuse popped and killed all the power, leaving the truck stranded.
It's a main fuse that sits down right next to us, and it's 2 posts and a fuse sits in between. So I managed to undo my belts and use the steel belt buckle and jammed it on the terminals just to get the truck started. We managed to get off the track. And we used a pair of poly grips or something just to undo the post, and we bypassed it.
As he started to fight his way back up the field, he got behind a vehicle that threw a few stones his way. He was hit in the head by a large rock that cracked his helmet visor in half.
This is the result of a big rock coming through the front. It also took care of our force 4 lights. I had to do a full lap with a broken visor, just putting my hand over to protect my eye. At the end of the lap, we had a stone come in and got behind the pedal and jammed it full throttle. So we got 668 horsepower and full throttle in a slippery area on the track, so that was a bit scary. So we managed to kill this kill switch, and we got it back to the pits by just on and off with the kill switch. Got back to the pits, we replaced the visor, pulled all the floor out, got the stone out from there, and we went back out again. We managed to climb back through the field, so there's 70 something odd vehicles, and we've managed to get back into 2nd in class, I think, and 21st overall.
While you guys were watching those last shots, I carried on and got stuck into the rear end. Now it's all tacked up in place. I'm happy with it for now. What I'm going to do is move to the front. It's a bit more challenging. I've got the sump clearance, I've got panhards, I've got drag links, steering box. There's a whole lot of items that I need to work my way around without mucking it up, because if I do muck it up, it could severely dampen the way the truck performs off-road and how it steers. Now, it is a 3-link in the front, so there's 1 less link, but yes, there is also the panhard and drag link that I have to deal with. So I'm going to get stuck into that. See you guys in a minute. After 200 kilometers with a misbehaving engine, John Morgan has won his first Woodhill 100, adding his name to the sport's oldest Kiwi trophy. His epic run with a misfiring engine began from position 5 on the grid and improved lap by lap as other unlimited class races fell by the wayside. John Morgan's perseverance with his misbehaving car was rewarded with a welcome checkered flag. He finished 3 minutes and 40 seconds ahead of Brendan Midgley and completed the full 200 kilometer distance in an exceptional 2 hours, 33 minutes and 7 seconds. Only 9 cars finished on the lead lap and completed the full 200 kilometers.
So here we are at the end of the 2017 Woodhill 100. Not a bad day for us. Started in 18th place and finished in 4th overall and 1st in the S class. So that was our goal. So very happy. Pretty testing, hard work day. Very choppy, rough track. Lots of own little issues to deal with, and yeah, happy to finish with good points. Polaris went very good. It was more me that was struggling. I had some vision issues early on in the race, so just managing that. Hard to pass people and get roosted, so you sort of got to hang back a bit, and yeah, real testing. But no, the car itself went real good. It was so rough, I was surprised that it was still finished in 100% condition. So that'll probably be the last race for the 2016 model that we've been racing for the last year and a half. We have a new one at home sitting there ready to be put together for the Taupo 1000, so it'll go to Steve Rowe and the team at PTS in Patauru. The new model is about 30 odd horsepower more than this year's one anyway, standard, so with everything improved, strengthened up, it's only going to help us with reliability and performance, so really looking forward to getting in the new one.
Well, you guys must have really enjoyed that last bit of footage because you were gone so long, I managed to get the front end in. It was a bit of a battle because obviously we have to get this panhard bracket, lower link bracket, and the upper link bracket all here, and we have to leave room for the shock. And we still have bump stops to go as well. I've sent the pictures to Benji at Ramped Customs. He builds rock crawlers in Australia, so he's got a pretty good knowledge on how to set up suspension for the least amount of bumps there and anti-squat, etc. And he said it looks good, but we need to make a few adjustments. Hence the reason why we tack it all together. So what I've got to do now is raise this top link bracket up about 2 inches, and the rear end, he said, looks good, but then I went on to tell him that I had set it up at full bump, and he said those are the angles I want at ride height. So I have no problems admitting that there was some mistakes along the way. I'd rather fix it now while it's tacked together than weld it all up and have to chop things off. So I'm very happy with how this has turned out. This Rough Stuff gear is absolutely amazing. For a universal kit, it's fitted very well. Many thanks to Rough Stuff Specialties. This is a great product. Literally everything is ready to go. All you have to do is work out your angles and your lengths and stick it on. That's it for this episode. We really hope you guys enjoyed watching. And if you guys want to stay updated with this, check us out on our Suzuki build vlog. We're going to be sticking it on YouTube and on our Facebook. And if you're not on Snapchat, follow us on Snapchat at Offroad Addicts. We're going to be continuously updating when we're working on this or the Polaris or whatever's going on. So you guys enjoy that. I'm going to get stuck into fixing this and we'll see you in the vlog. Coming up on the next episode, we go wheeling in the snow. We head out and pick up the Trail Gear F-Toy and head up into the hills of Georgetown, California. Check us out on social media, where we post daily pictures and videos to keep you entertained until your next off-road addiction fix. Right about now, the Funk Salt Brother, check it out now.
Parallel lowers and triangular. Caleb, I'm had it up to here with you, mate.
This is the end of the episode. End.